let's explore some of the other features in FlashPrint. I'll choose File, Examples, and this time I'll choose the clip and zoom in to look at it. It looks like it's got a very thin section here. I want to make sure that that prints solidly. And looking at it from the bottom, you can see that it has an overhanging area here where the inside of that ring is rounded. It's probably designed that way on purpose to smooth the inner surface so that it doesn't abrade the cable that's running through it. But for our purposes, we're going to ignore the function because I want to look at one of the tools that's built into FlashPrint. I would like to just print this model without any supports. So I'm going to choose the cut tool and horizontal orientation. I can move the cut tool up and down by using arrows or typing in a distance from the build plate. Right now this is 3 millimeters above the build plate. Actually, before I do the cut, I want to first see what the Z dimension is for the model, because I do want to retain the scaling of the model. So it's 6 millimeters tall. Okay, now I can use cut, and you can see by default when you choose cut, it's exactly halfway through the model. You can also move the cut plane by clicking and dragging it, though. So you can see that the middle part of that model is straight, and then it starts to flare out at the bottom. So I'm going to move this up such that I'm sure that I'm in the straight flat area internally here. And I'll choose Start Cut. Now I can click the bottom piece and hit Command to delete on my keyboard to get rid of it. I'll select the model again, and I'll drag the cut plane so that I'm sure that I'm in the flat area in the middle, and choose Start Cut, and I'll click and on my keyboard hit Command Delete to get rid of that piece. So now I have a perfectly flat model. And if I click Move on Platform and Center, and look at it from the bottom, you can see that indeed it's solid blue and there's no red indicating any area of overhang. But I've lost the dimension of the model, right? So if I click Scale, the X and Y is still the same, but the Z is only 1.38 at this point. But I can rectify that by typing in 6. And there we go. So I have a modified model, but in the same dimensions as the original. I'll click Start Slicing, Restore Defaults, and I'll go ahead and stick with the default settings, except I'm going to eliminate the raft so I can see better what's going on. Slice Preview. Okay, that all looks fine, but what I'm most interested in looking at is this skinny part of the model, because I want to make sure that it's not just printing the outside and inside walls. I want to make sure that it's printing a solid line for the interior of that skinny piece there. And I can best see that by clicking Only Current Layer. And then I'm going to use the steps for the last layer and watch the nozzle as it prints that piece, that section. So it goes out and over and back, then prints the inner wall, and then it fills in this gap between those two walls, the inner and the outer wall. Okay, so that's good. That means that that should be nice and solid when it's printed. And to verify that, I can download the model and print it. It's a quick print, only 10 minutes. It's good to practice with small, simple prints until you become familiar and facile with using both the slicing software and your printer. So let's print it and see what we get. And here we see the completed print. Notice that the long, thin section of the model is nice and solid, as we verified in the slicing preview, and the model is flat and properly scaled. We just eliminated the smoothing of the interior surface using the cut tool.